I've been a fan of Charlie Bloom's work for years, and I've always wanted to find the right collaboration. And David Snyder, who I've also directed a few of his pieces, we've collaborated several times, thought that this would be the right piece to work with. I'm a stage and film director. I've worked on Broadway, Off-Broadway, regionally and internationally. I go from working on the smallest intimate one-person play to extraordinary large musicals like Pablo. And I have a passion for developing new works, both plays, musicals, films, because I believe it's so important to ask the questions we haven't yet asked or take a new perspective on what we think we know. I love my work because I get to collaborate with all kinds of performers, from Broadway celebrities, TV celebrities, to emerging artists. And I really love collaborating with writers, composers, and someone who does everything, like Charles Bloom, who's really quite wonderful. I'm glad to be working with him on this. As principal director for the concept recording of Pablo, I worked with Charlie on getting to the core of the scenes, getting to the action of the scenes, and also getting an idea of what the sweeping music was like, what the sweeping visual he had in mind was, and working with the actors to really crystallize those moments vocally and with their energy for the album, because people are just going to be able to hear it and imagine. Charlie has really found a way, with the way he's written this piece and composed this piece, to get to the core of the passion of an artist, and the way that he's found to express the visual nature of Pablo's art is through the vocals, through the soaring music. And in this case, it sort of harkens back to a vocal style from the golden age of Broadway. He has melodies that soar, melodies that stay with you, so the lyrics also hit you in a certain way, and the scenes hit on a deeper way, on a funnier way. It trusts the core of their voices, it trusts their beautiful musicality to express the souls of these artists and the people of Pablo's life. But he trusts it in a way that there's a purity to it. He trusts the lyricism, he trusts the comic potential of it, but he really uses a style that we haven't seen in a while on Broadway. We haven't had the big baritone sound. We haven't had the floating soprano in new works recently. So he really trusts this way of communicating the inside voice of an artist for a new generation. He's tapped into a genre without being derivative at the same time. So it's quite a wonderful experience to hear. So between Andrew Wheeler and Jamie Beth Margolis and myself, with Charlie, we looked for the actors who had the abilities, had the qualifications, had the sound, but could also bring something more than just sort of a cookie-cutter, generic musical theater idea of what was on the page. So we really got to know these singers. We got to know how they performed. Some of them we worked with before, a lot of them we got to know for the first time. But through this, we were able to find the actors who could take it to the next level and take it beyond, even Charlie's core dream. So it was really an extraordinary collaboration, because we also were able to bounce ideas off of each other and listen to the actors and look at the actors in front of us and how they would bring this music alive. It was a wonderful collaboration. I said to Charlie, let's do this as a radio play so that the listeners don't miss any of the action. I found myself closing my eyes a lot in rehearsal to see if I got the story, because that was my way to communicate with the actors that it wasn't just the physical impulses. And sometimes if they fed the voice, that would help. But I really had to shut my eyes and see if I got the story. And I apologize for shutting my eyes on this video, but it's really how we worked, because this needed to be a successful listening experience, and an exciting listening experience. So in that case, that was very different. And I know that within that, as a director, I had the stage pictures in my head, but how do you communicate that without all of that? So it was a very fun and exciting experience. One of the interesting challenges that we all had to surmount, and I think we did pretty successfully, was again finding the use of the voice, the use of the words to be able to give the moment. when the actors had not had that sense that you would yet on a stage of living with it in a different way. So that was a challenge, I think, that we were able to overcome with our vocabulary and our collaboration. I think after working on this piece and reading the libretto and working on that with Charlie and listening to the music, I now look at the work in a different way because I see a more personal connection to the subjects that he's creating. I see more of the relationship to his goals at the time, his passions, how they changed him. Whereas before, I think I was looking at the finished piece of art and looking at analysis from there. But now with this piece, to connect it to a living, breathing subject, to connect it to a living, breathing passion, has made me look at it in a bit of a different way than I have before.